Hey, comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And guys, it's time for the countdown. That's right, everyone. We are on countdown number 32, or episode number 32, whatever you want to call it. And you're here with Mike Spider Slayer as I'm going to count down my worst comic of the week and go all the way to numero uno. That's right, everybody. So with that being said, we have 12 comics this week, and let's just I guess jump right into it, okay? So here we go. Number 12. That's right. Uncanny X-Men issue number 13, otherwise known as Battle of the Atom chapter number 8. I did a in-depth review on this on my channel. A few of you left me some really informative comments to help me understand a lot more of these characters and whatnot, and gave your opinions on my review and things like that. And everyone is entitled to a review, and I appreciate it. And of course, this is my obviously opinion on this. This book was just not good for me. I just thought from what we've been getting from Battle of the Atom, I think it was well paced, it was well delivered, easy to understand, and then all of a sudden now you get into the final issues of this story arc and you come across something that was completely rushed. We were introduced a whole bunch of characters. You give them, their names, you know a little bit about them, but not too much enough, and I found that was kind of frustrating. The art I felt at times was okay, but it wasn't the greatest art I've ever seen here. You get random deaths in the actual issue. You get people just popping up all over the place, and I felt that this was missing. You try to find out how to send the old Avengers back, or the young Avengers, or the first class Avengers. You think they're going to get sent back, and it's just like, whoa, hey, it's not working. And then there's one thing where you're on here, and you think it's Cyclops, but it's not Cyclops. It's the Mystique-looking character, which is this right here. It's hard, to understand that. So there was lots of things that were just it just popped out of nowhere, and it jumped all over the place, and I just didn't like it. So I hope that the next two issues will be a lot better. Overall issue, I thought it was horrible, and I gave it a 1 star. I really did. So next, number 12, Green Lantern and the New Guardians issue number 24, Lights Out, part 3. This issue for me, again, it was another event that's going on, and the first two events are really good. The first two parts of this event were really good, and then this one focuses on Kyle Rayner a little bit. This one goes into how he deals with controlling the entities inside of him, and how I just found it boring and uninteresting. At certain times, Kyle just looks like this little kid, and he doesn't look like that. I'm sorry. How Jordan is drawn really nicely here. But this issue was very lacklustrous. You get all excited because you see the entities, and you find out that they've been dying the entire time. Just to find out that they go into Kyle, and obviously he's the White Lantern, so he holds them all, and he has trouble controlling them. I found that he looked like Cell from Dragon Ball Z at times in here, where you see this here. I didn't like it. Had nothing to really do what was going on in the series with Relic and everything else. Relic was non-existent in this particular issue, and you find that the other Green Lantern Corps had to try to go find the Indigo Tribe as well, and at the end you find out that Kyle makes this statement, and he sits there and he says, I know what the entities know, what they can feel. They're screaming at me, and I know what Relic knew, and he's right. We don't need to defeat Relic. We need to help him. So now it looks like that, I guess, we come to this realization that Relic was right the whole time. So I don't know, but I just found it kind of uninteresting and kind of boring. I didn't care really how Kyle control the entities. Like, I really don't care about that. I want the story itself to move forward. I don't care about that aspect. And I'm a huge Kyle Rayner fan, but I don't know. There's just something missing from this one too. Very, very boring. I gave that one a 2 out of 5. They didn't like that one at all. Next was Supergirl, issue number 24. Um, this is the conclusion to the story arc with Cyborg Superman. And in this issue, we learn that Zor-El is actually sent off Supergirl away. Now, this is the first issue that I've read, but somehow his DNA, he broke out of this. He's not Cyborg Superman anymore, and it sent Supergirl into some subconscious or some ghost like state, and she wound up trying to uh, get her revenge as a ghost to destroy Cyborg Superman. But when Zor-El finds out what actually happens, he had the surgery wound up being reversed to get her body back. The artwork was really good in this issue. I enjoyed it. I'm interested to learn more about Supergirl. We get another major storyline here coming up, which is the return of Krypton, that takes place in all of the actual super books. And yeah, I like this one. I love the expressions on Supergirl's face, on Kara's face here. I like how she got her body back. And I like the surgery that was performed that you get to see as, it's a race against time, and the surgery's being taken place as he's awake and everything. So very suspenseful type of issue. I enjoyed it, and when I initially read it, and I still hold up to this grade, I give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Very entertaining. Nice book. Number 9 is Vibe, issue number 8. Uh, I'm sad to see this story or this actual series being canceled. I'm upset about it. I thought this was a very good series, but I can understand it. And one of the things that may have, why it's getting canceled, it could have been planned that it may have not been a long going series to be planned to begin with. It was kind of like an introduction to the character to get to know him because he's in JLA. So that's why they could have, released this series to begin with. But this book, last we learned, is we got to see about Cisco's brother, is Rupture, who is the villain in this actual book. And you find that out in the last issue, and you're left with a huge cliffhanger, and you're like, oh my god. And he winds up, Vibe winds up getting stabbed in the chest, and they're being transported through dimensions and whatnot. And you're like, oh man, I can't wait what happens. When you open up the book, you open it up to this. You open it up to Amethyst, this chick here whose book got canceled as well. And I'm like, okay, why do I want to read about Amethyst? And what does she have to do with all this nonsense? And you see her using her little dumb shield and fighting all these crazy characters. And it's going into a second page. It's going into a third page. And I'm like, what am I reading here? And, you get the introduction here. You finally see Vibe in the actual book. And, but in this issue, you get to learn what happened to Cisco in between the dimensions, how he wound up ending up on Amethyst's, world or whatnot. And I think the character's name is the Breacher or something whatnot. And you find out a lot more about who Gypsy is, who the Breacher is, which is this character right here who winds up saving Vibe. So you wind up learning more about him and what they're going to have to do to stop Rupture. This is a very entertaining book. I really like Vibe. It's fun. It's different. The character's young. He's got a great personality. And, there's always the endings here that make you want to read more on this series. So this is a great, great book. I'm trying to remember who actually writes the book, if I can remember correctly. It's Sterling Gates is the writer, and Andres Guinaldo is the penciler. Great series, guys. If you don't want to pick it up, I truly understand it because it's going to be being canceled soon. But when they do have a trade on this, I suggest reading it because it's a fun and entertaining read. I give this one 3.5 out of 5 stars, even with Amethyst in it. the hell is that? Oh, jeez. Number 8. Guardians of the Galaxy, issue number 7. Now, the problem with Guardians of the Galaxy is that it's an entertaining book to read. It's got humor, it's got action, it's got great artwork, but it's missing something. And that something is an actual real plot line. There's nothing that's developed in this book. It is such a slow developing book. Nothing has really major happened in it, and unless you want to count Angela and Peter Quill's coincidence that they've experienced the events of Age of Ultron through the space-time continuum rift. I mean, that's really all that's going on in this book. And in this particular issue, you get to see that they've actually captured Angela. You see that in this issue. And they're pretty much just doing interrogation of her, trying to find out, who she is, where she came from, and the book is very humorous. Peter Quill's character is hysterical, and I think Tony Stark references him as you're like 3 Spider-Mans all rolled up into one, and which was pretty funny. And then they make a lot of 80 references talk with like Heaven on Earth, which is a Belinda Carlisle song. If you guys know that. I know that because I'm 38 years old and I listen to that song every day at work while I'm at work. They play that song. So you get to learn a little bit of Angela's history in this issue, where she's come from, how she's brought up, and how she actually got into this universe, into the 616 universe. And at the end, they earn her trust and they hand her a communicator, and she winds up going on her merry way. And of course, now you get the the interruption, I guess, to the story, kind of, because it has to deal with Infinity. So we're going to have to deal with the Infinity tie-in and how the Guardians of the Galaxy deal with that. And then probably once we get through Infinity, then it's going to move on to a more of a story with all of them in it. Again, it's an entertaining issue, but there's nothing that really progresses anything. So again, I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So we are at, I think we're at number 7, if I'm correct. Yep, number 7. So number 7. Forever Evil tie-in, Rogues Rebellion, issue number 1. We have the Rogues in this issue wanting to go back to their city. They don't want to be part of the crime syndicate. What happens when you defy the crime syndicate? Well, you kind of find that out by the time this is over with. And pretty much every issue of a tie-in with Forever Evil, you always have the crime syndicate on their pedestal in that first page. You see that pretty much in every issue, but you see it in a different set of eyes. In this one, it's the Rogues. And you get to see that here. You get to see that Central City is just destroyed. And a few minutes ago it was fine, but it was completely destroyed. And this book kind of ties into the Gorilla Grodd issue from Villains Month, which never expected it to be. That's kind of what happened here. Grodd was destroying the city, and he kind of moved on. And this was an okay issue. It was kind of like a point A to point B type of issue. Nothing dramatic, nothing really special happened in this issue. They come across some police officers and they wind up setting them free. They feel that it's the right thing to do, even though there's tension between the two groups. We find out that Mirror Master comes to is it Lisa is her name, which I'm pretty sure. So that was interesting. And then you get to see, well, what happens when the Rogues defy. Well, first they sent in a bunch of cronies to fight them off, which were pretty much unsuccessful. The art was kind of cool in this issue. It's actually a little gritty, a little sketchy, but it fit the book kind of. I kind of like that, a little darkness in there with the Rogues, because they're shady. They're not evil, but they're not good. They're just shady, and that's what kind of this book reminds me of. Shady group of characters. So by the end, once they defeat everybody, Crime Syndicate's like, okay, we got to stop these guys. So they're going to stand in, what's his Power Ring, and they're going to send in Deathstorm, which is his name, which I truly dig Deathstorm. I think he's a badass. Power Ring, oh, he's just a chicken shit, and he's just diseased. I don't know what's going to happen to that guy. So it was a good issue. I liked it. It was fun. It's that type of comic. It's a fun read, like the cover here with the bullseye there on Captain Cold. So I liked it. And I'm going to give this one also a, not quite a 4, but it was pretty close. Also a 3.5 as well. So, number 6 is Animal Man, issue number 24. Jeff Lemire writing the book, and interesting cover here. And in this issue, you get to see just all hell's breaking loose. Buddy Baker is no more the avatar of the Red. Either is Maxine. They can't complete their mission by trying to find Cliff, which is her brother. And we see Brother Blood is, and you know, he's obviously the avatar now, and the avatars, or I guess, sorry, the totems have pretty much been destroyed except the one, or the Parliament of Limbs have been destroyed except the one guy I'm trying to remember. Oh, Totem is his name. Totem is the only one that's left now. He's controlling the Red, and he's been accumulating all the red or the blood or all this time, so he can do this massive takeover. As the issue goes along, you wind up seeing that Ellen, I guess, which is Maxine's mom, I'm assuming, because it's the only second issue I've read, is finding out that she's missing. And, you know, she's off with her little buddies, of course. Next thing we find out is that the Red are going to the, I guess it's the Emmys or whatever it is, the awards show that he's nominated for, and they're going to take over the whole entire place, and they call him out on national TV, which I thought was awesome. Guy kind of looks like Darth Maul there, but he's just like, it's so funny because he's just like, he's like, now listen very carefully. I know all you glued to your smartphones and widescreen TVs. Well, I'm about to give you the greatest show you will ever see. I'm hoping you're out there watching somewhere too, Baker, because we have this auditorium surrounded. There is no escape. And it's just like they got everybody in the auditorium, so it looks like Buddy Baker's got turned himself in. Fun read. I enjoyed it. I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5. I can't wait to see where it goes. How is Buddy Baker going to solve this when he's no longer the Avatar? So very cool stuff. Next, we are on our top 5. Number 5. It's back, everybody. That's right. Finally, there is progression in the story, and that is Hawkeye, issue number 13, written by Matt Fraction, and of course our art is David Aja, and I'm happy to see this book back, and it looks like it's going to be on a consistent basis now from the rest of the month based off of the letters page here. And from not reading this book, after reading this book, it makes you really forget how great this series really is. It leaves off of Hawkeye's friend, or Clit's friend, Grill, or Grill, or whatever his name was, that got murdered. And so it basically leaves off right where that happens. And, you know, Hawkeye's just all beat to piss in this issue. And he gets these phone calls. And you can see that, you know, I guess he did a battle recently with Black Widow and Jessica. And he was in the hospital, and he needed to chill out and relax at home. Paneling and art is always good in here, even the introduction page where it says it's written by Matt Fraction, and arts and everything else. And this is called the funeral, the in funeral. And you see that Clint is just wasted, he's messed up, and he gets this phone call. And the issue makes you believe, you think that it's for something more, like it's a deadline, he's going to get killed if he doesn't turn in. And he just takes some pills and passes out on the couch. And as we go along in the issue, you have police officers that offer, you know, questioning of what happened to Grill's death. And the funny humor in this issue is he hands the police officers 2 cups of coffee, and and Clint winds up drinking the coffee out of the pot. So I thought that was funny there. So the book offers great humor. The colors and everything are really nice. But that appointment that he has to attend to is the funeral of Grill, and or I'm sorry, that's one of the appointments, and we get to see a relationship thing with Katie or Kate Bishop here, and it's like it seems like it's one of the last times that you get to see them together. Um, because I guess it ties into what happened in past issues or whatnot, and we can see that there's a funeral that happens. The bros, the track star people show up around. They're hinting around and everything, and we see Clint's brother come. You get to see them meet up again, so it's all starting to tie together. And you know, again, one of those appointments was uh, a touching part was Grill's father, where Clint met up with him. I'm trying to find that page real quick. That kind of made me a little bit teary-eyed because it's kind of a sad thing to see. But it was a fun issue, and and it's kind of a sad one at the same time. But it's great to see Hawkeye back on this, back on things. But Matt Fraction said there was a lot of personal things he was dealing with that delayed this, and he apologized, and he did not want to fill it in with a bunch of fillers. So he decided to just delay it. So Hawkeye, it's great to be back. I'm giving you a 4 out of 5. All right, here we go. Number 4, another Forever Evil tie-in. That's Trinity of Sin Pandora, issue number 4. That's right. This was a fun issue too. I really liked it. Got to learn a lot more about, I think the character's name is Marcus in this issue. You were wondering who this person was here, and you obviously know that it's a tie-in to Forever Evil. But it opens up with Alfred opening that box, and you're like, oh damn, that's cool. So you're gonna find out what goes on. She winds up going into seeing the city the way that it is, and you're just like, dude, that's pretty crazy. And you see this other alternate version of Martian Manhunter who doesn't have eyes. So he's like, I guess, another one that was left behind with what's it called, the Sea King or whatever the freak his name is, the other version of Aquaman, and it was cool because the guy is blind, but the book makes it really hard to read. Like, you're blind too, like you can't see him. I'm like, God, this is messed up stuff. So he's really nothing. And then what happens is Pandora winds up getting transported, and she picks up the pieces to the box. She wants to figure everything out, how the box works. Then you see Pandora come back, and she talks to Marcus, and Marcus is believing that Pandora is possibly the evil one here, and he's starting to have second thoughts, but he feels that he feels that she is the evil one here, and after some convincing, Pandora says no, it's not, and you can see that there's a really good relationship between Pandora and Marcus. He actually says he loves her, kind of like as a mother or sister type of figure, because she picked him up when he was really a baby. So as the issue goes along, you talk to you see Savage. What was his name? I forgot his name, but she actually needs his help here, and he doesn't work for anybody, but he gives her that coin, the Secret Society coin, after a little lengthy battle here, and she winds up finding in on the location of where they're at, and she winds up holding up Alfred at gunpoint. This is a fun issue. This is good stuff here. Artwork is pretty solid. Love the battles between Savage and Pandora. They seem to be equally matched, which was nice to see. You got missing limbs and teeth being squished out of people's faces. This was a great issue. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy the series, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I like seeing the character development between Marcus and Pandora and their relationship here, and I can't wait to see what happens with Alfred, what happens in all that. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed this book. All right, top 3. Top 3, number 3 is The Superior Spider-Man, issue number 19. Now, I did a in-depth review on this book. If you guys want to check that out on this channel, you can watch it as well. I really thought that this issue was written a lot better. There wasn't so many plot lines going on. You didn't have the Green Goblin. You didn't have the Green Goblin wearing a Hobgoblin mask. You didn't have a ton over dialogue. You didn't have Carly and Mary Jane and freaking all kinds of other crap going on. It was almost like you had your little side story, you had the main plot, and then the side story ended with a good cliffhanger. And then you had something in between there that was thrown where you're just like, oh, could this actually happen? So I thought this was a much better issue. I gave this issue a 4 out of 5 overall because, in the beginning, like I talked about, you see that you have Carly Cooper going after, trying to find out who Superior really is. You get this time flux, time thing going on, which we know that I'm not a fan of. But the whole thing is in order to stop this, Superior had to come up with this equation, and it was the equation that Peter Parker came up with when he first started with Horizon. So he just goes in such deep memories here to try to figure out what's going on, and he just can't figure it out. The artwork, by the way, by Stegman is phenomenal in this issue. One of my favorite pages is right here. I really love this. It goes how deep he goes into his mind to try to figure out this equation. But in this whole process, he digs this out right here. Boom, boom, boom. We all know what Peter Parker was wearing when his subconscious got buried. It was that jacket right there. That's his hair. It has to be him. I'm thinking it's him. So I was sitting there going, oh yeah. I was like a little schoolgirl going, oh, he's so I can't wait. I was all excited about it. But in the end, Spider-Man 2099 gets trapped in this current universe. So he's going to have a title coming out in the future. So people that don't know him can get to learn to know more about him now and maybe his history or whatnot. So we'll see what happens with that. But by the end of the actual issue, you finally get Mary Jane and finally gets a hold of Superior and says, well, I don't want to be with you anymore. And that's it because you've changed. So there, Peter Parker. Click. Cheesy, right? I mean, just dumb. It's just a way to string on the character. So now I don't know the next time we're going to see Mary Jane. So we'll see what happens. And then at the very end, you get the cliffhanger of them all is that Carly finally actually winds up figuring out that Superior Spider-Man is Dr. Otto Octavius. And then the one other thing that me and Chris, Dark Avenger CA6, talked about on the phone the other day was that it seems like Carly is just so more invested in Peter's finding out who he is and what's going on with him than Mary Jane ever was. And I get Carly is a police officer or whatnot, and she has those resources, but it's just like all Mary Jane wanted to do was just like blah 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 bye, and I don't know, I just found it annoying. But again, I gave this a 4 out of 5. This is a good conclusion to this very poor story arc, I thought, so we'll see what happens in the future with Superior. So my number 2 comic book of the week is Justice League of America, issue number 8. This is a tie-in, another Forever Evil tie-in. This was a really good issue because I did not expect this to happen. But the Justice League you thought that is dead is not dead, and we find out that Stargirl and Martian Manhunter are in this weird world, and it looks like it's peaceful. It's like a heaven. But as the issue goes on and progresses, you find out that from the other half of Firestorm is that it's actually this jail cell, and it's multi-levels, and it goes down to this deep, darkest secrets or weaknesses of your Justice League characters, and you're like, oh my god, that's crazy. So you find out a little weakness of Wonder Woman, and you find out a weakness of Shazam, and the artwork is a little goofy. I mean, it's okay, it's good, but at times it's a little weird. You find out the weaknesses of Flash, and it's just like everything that you want to know about your weakness of your characters emotionally is all there, and they're just trapped in this cell. And Martian Manhunter doesn't know how to get them out. So now you kind of feel like, is Martian Manhunter stuck in here? Stargirl was involved in this issue too, which was nice to see, because I haven't seen her at all. But there's a communication between her and Martian Manhunter throughout the series. And by the time you get to the end of the issue, she actually breaks free of the jail cell. I'll get to that page in a second. And she winds up finding out what the world really looks like now. So this was fun. See what will happen to our Justice League members, how they're going to get out, how Martian Manhunter is going to get them out, and how they're going to return to stop the crime syndicate. It's a fun issue, and it's so close to being a pick of my week. But there was one other book that was just emotionally for me meant a lot more, and that's why I gave it a pick of the week. So I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. So my number one pick of the week is Invincible issue number 106. And I'll tell you guys why. Invincible may not be a book that a lot of you read. It's written by Robert Kirkman. The artwork is done by Ryan Ottley, who does a phenomenal job at artwork here. This is obviously done by Image Comics. Characters are all drawn very well. This book can be very gory at times. Characters are all drawn, fantastic. Lots of facial expression on here. So one of the reasons why I love this book and always have loved this book is because of, how much is put into it. And Ryan Ottley's been on this book from the start. Now, I'll give you a little bit about the story. The story in this particular opens up with, an opening story when it comes to Beastmaster. And he's on this planet, the coalition of planets. And there's nothing left for him to do. All the evil's done. It's all taken care of. It's what he does. The guy is crazy. And, he gets a companion in the process of doing whatever he is that he was doing over there. So she comes with him. So now I guess he's got a little buddy to hook up with. But the issue opens up with, I'm sorry, opens up with Adam Eve and Invincible and Mark, which is his name, and they go to dinner for his father and mother's house. And his father and his mother don't know that Adam Eve is actually pregnant. And the emotions that goes through these characters' faces, the mom's like, "You're pregnant?" And it's like, "Why didn't you tell us?" And dad's like, "How come you didn't tell us?" And with each panel, it just gets more anger and anger. So there's great stuff that's going on. You get to see little hints of this character right here, who's like related to Lava. You get to see another relationship development between Amanda and Rex, who were lovers in the past based off of a previous adventure that they were on. Great looking characters, well drawn characters here. And this whole story has to deal with a father and son and their bond. Who's stronger than the other? And it was just a classic, just a family tale that if you're a family person, you'll really appreciate the book. And in the end, you find out that the father is still a little bit stronger than his son. And it was so good. And by the time you get to the end of the issue, you find out that, I think his name was Eric, and he winds up sending Beastmaster to destroy the former General Thrag, who's the former leader or empire or emperor of the Vulturemites. So that's how the story ends. But this book really meant a lot to me because there's nothing better than telling a family member, and yes, it can be stressful at times, but it's nothing better than telling a family member that you're bringing a new life into this world, and the reactions is going to be priceless. And that's what you got in this issue. Another one of those things was the bond between the father and the son. A lot of, and this hits hard, so a lot of sons really appreciate their father's, competitive edge and things like that. When I was young, my dad taught me how to play tennis, and he was always wanted to beat me as hard as he could. Now, it's sad to say that me and my father don't have a good relationship anymore, and I haven't talked to him in 10 years, and I miss that, and a lot of personal stuff there. So it really makes you appreciate that relationship in this issue, and that's why I gave this book a number one rating this week, or number one top spot, because it really shows that. And when they're doing this arm wrestling match, you can see he's like, "Come on, old man, bring it to me, let's do it," and they break the table at the end. It was just a classic moment, and I really liked the issue, and that's why this got the number one book of the week. So 5 stars in my opinion. What's going to happen in the Invincible future still yet to be determined. But if you guys are interested in Invincible, they got the compendiums, they got the trades, fun series. Robert Kirkman does it phenomenal. So great stuff here. So guys, there you have it. There is the countdown of the week. I hope you enjoyed my worst, and I hope you enjoyed my best, and everything else in between. So guys, until the next comic book review, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off, and thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Bye.